Hi Sagittarius, this is your August 15th through the 31st, 2018 reading, and this is Valerie with Serenity Matters 1111. Thank you everybody for joining me. Cross Watchers, welcome too. Please remember that these are general readings and therefore they may not apply for everybody, so if it don't apply, let it fly. As per usual, I shuffled the cards before I started filming. And with that, I will go ahead and lay out the cards now for you. Covering you is the Nine of Wands in the reverse. Crossing you, the Ace of Wands. Crowning you, the Hanged Man. Beneath you, the Five of Swords. Behind you, the Eight of Swords in the reverse. Before you, the Page of Swords in the reverse. The card representing you is the Five of Pentacles. Environment, the Five of Wands. Hopes and fears, the Eight of Wands. And final outcome, the Seven of Cups. And wow, we have a lot of fives in this reading, don't we? A lot of fives. Fives in tarot have to do with change, but they're often, so do sixes, but they have to do with the kind of some of the struggle that we deal with as a change is beginning. Like we have to identify the conflict first, because when we start to work through the conflict, we can find the peace and the compromise that comes into play, and that enables us to make the change. So with that in mind, we'll keep moving forward. Now, on the bottom of the deck, we see the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles has to do with generosity. Sometimes it can be an inheritance, inherited money, somebody helping you out. In relationships, this has to do with a balance in the relationships, or the relationship, give and take. But each person doing some giving and each person doing some taking. It's not usually one-sided unless it's in the reverse position. This is in the upright. So whatever the change and some of the strife that you may be going through, it does seem that there's support and loving balance within your primary relationship. So that is good. Now the card that is covering you, your basic environment that you're operating in, is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands, Nine of Wands in the reverse. In the reverse position, this can be something of a hesitation or a reluctance perhaps to fight for yourself. Maybe you're hoping that somebody else will fight for you. Maybe you're struggling to choose your battles in a situation of difficulty. And it could be that maybe you're not taking a stand where you should. So we'll look at some of the other energy in the reading and see if it's the case that maybe, well, let's just look at the other cards and see what they have to play, right? Or say, right? Oh, excuse me. So what's crossing you in this Nine of Wands reversed energy is the Ace of Wands. This has to do with the beginning of a passion pursuit. This is about a new job or a new business that you're starting. This butterfly has to do with transformation and change and success in the air area, right? So anything having to do with mental stuff. I'll let you decide if that's the sun setting on something old or the sun rising on something new. But being an ace, it does have to do with new beginnings. So hint, hint, sunrise possibly. This is about success, good luck in business, right? Positive change, beginning to get yourself off the ground in a way, right? I'm reminded too of a maypole, and the maypole is kind of symbolic of, I want to say, the lingam, and then the earth being the yoni. So it's kind of that divine masculine, feminine balance of energy, the polarity between those two things. I guess what I'm trying to say here is this is about kind of a masculine force, putting something out into the world. Or if you're a maypole, literally sticking it into the world, right? Into the earth. But it's that idea of being able to create, right? To be able to create and to make something new, to bring forward a new life in your business that you're starting. So You may not be choosing battles, however, but in some area, something new is growing. But you may be avoiding a conflict that might be necessary. We'll see. So crowning you is the Hanged Man, but in the reverse position. And in the upright, the Hanged Man has to do with taking time out to meditate and understand where you are and what your needs are in the area of spiritual journey, right? Bringing light into the darkness of your mind. This person is not suffering. This isn't a hanged man in the same way. Excuse me. In the same way of somebody who's. This is not a forcible execution. This person tied himself to the tree because he was hoping to gain some wisdom by seeing the world from a new perspective. And that's really what it is a metaphor for, is a new perspective on life, being able to see things, right? This is a representation of Odin and how he used to tie himself, well, not used to, but how there was a period in his life when he tied himself to a tree and was able to discover the runes in the form of twigs that were floating in the stream below his head as he hung there, or whatever. Okay, the idea is enlightenment that comes from that. Now, in the reverse position, it could be that you may not be making time for your meditation or for your spiritual growth to really understand what you do need to be doing in your life. Now, beneath you, we see this Five of Swords energy here. These can be some petty squabbles and things of an intellectual nature. This is somebody who's not controlling his or her tongue, right? Somebody's saying some things. There are too many opinions, I want to say, right? And if you are in the Knight of Wands reversed energy, you're not wanting to stick up for yourself. You're not wanting to join in here. You kind of wish all of the squabbling would resolve itself without your having to do any part in that. You're hoping somebody else may fight that battle for you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So there may be squabbles going on at home, maybe kids bickering, maybe they're trying to push or challenge your authority, or they're not trying to listen, or whatever that kind of energy is. That can be very disruptive, and there does come a point where you have to pick up that, I was going to say sword, but where you have to pick up that forcible stance and say, in order to affect beautiful change, we do have to assert, we do have to say no, we do have to set boundaries. Boundaries are not the enemy. A lack of boundaries are the enemy. You look at little kids and how they just slap each other for no reason, or it seems like no reason, just when they feel like it. We have to set boundaries because we can't live in a world where people just up and start striking and hitting and becoming violent with one another just because they're having an emotional moment, or whatever that is, right? To use an example. Now, behind you is this Eight of Swords energy, and it's in the reverse. So this has to do with the mental imprisonment that sometimes we create for ourselves. This person put herself in a blindfold. She's got her arms tied behind her back. This is somebody who's created this situation. She's withdrawn into a cage of her own creation, in a sort. This is coming out of that energy. And tied in with this Ace of Wands, this feels to me, let me put it in the same order as the board, because it moves from right to left in the tradition. Coming out of this mental imprisonment and finding your way. Maybe this has been some kind of jobless situation, maybe feeling financial stress, mental conflict and confusion, not knowing what to do, and finally having some level of direction in that. So for some of you, I question if this Hanged Man in the reverse might be that you're coming out of that energy, not that you weren't going in there. If you've been taking time out and doing your meditation, that may have moved you from the Eight of Swords in the upright into getting out of that energy. You spent time in meditation, and now you know what power steps or what action steps you can take to move your business forward, move your family forward. Now, in the future, we see the Page of Swords in the reverse. In the upright, this can be a young person, like a child, an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. This can be communication coming in abruptly, quickly, making decisions, decidedness. In the reverse, this could be somebody who doesn't know how to control their tongue, somebody saying ugly or mean or hateful things. And given that we have this energy of the Five of Swords, I question if this is one of the swords that's in your life. Possibly a kid. Maybe you got a kid that's being mouthy and saying things that are cutting you to the bone. And perhaps they're playing on the fact that you have not been in the space to defend yourself. Maybe you haven't been defending yourself because you've been in this insecurity, Eight of Swords energy. But now you're coming out and you're in a strong position for that. And we may see that you're ready to start setting that boundary and using your big no word, right? No is such a little word, but has so much power behind it. So, again, this may be some of that energy for you in your life. The card representing you is the Five of Pentacles card. Again, with the fives. In this, we see this feeling of being left out in the cold. Not being maybe a participant, not being, feeling left out of some major decisions or something. This could be that as you've been in this struggle of trying to determine what it is that you need to do, you felt left out, especially if other people in your environment seem to be having a better time of it. You may have felt alone in your pain, even as everyone else was going on about business as usual in the castle over here. So fortunately, you're coming out of that energy. You're finding your business is taking off. This energy here with the Five of Pentacles, you will be coming out of that soon. But be careful you don't put yourself back in the prison because of the bickering that's going on and your confusion or, I don't want to say lack of desire to put an end to it or to stand up to yourself, but yeah, whatever. Be careful when you do set your boundary and say your no, that you say it, don't say it in a harsh way. The Page of Swords can kind of caution us sometimes about saying it too harshly. Strength is about gentleness and assertion. We can say no without calling somebody everything but a nice guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to spell that out for anyone. I'm sure you have your own imaginations on that. We see another Five of Wands. Here we see battles playing out, passions. You're right. We've got both passionate arguments and cold arguments all at the same time. Not pretty. This is not pretty. So there's been a lot of squabbles. There's been a lot of struggle and a lot of strife. And this is probably what's making you want to check out and not really have a whole lot to do with any of that. Not stand up for yourself. But unfortunately, sometimes we have to fight for what we want. And make our claim on that. What you hope for is cooperation, positive communication, new start, new energy, new fire coming in, and greener pastures, stiller waters, clearer skies, or at least they're not stormy anyway. So that's what you're hoping for. Maybe also for some guidance to point you in a direction. That's what you're hoping for, right? And it does look like that will be coming in for you, in that our final outcome card here is the Seven of Cups in the reverse, which is about making choices, being faced with lots of options and choices, maybe being undecided, maybe even being stuck. But as you've come out of this imprisonment energy, you're also making that decision. And you do have the help. You do have spiritual help and guidance in all of this. And let's not forget the card we started out on that was on the bottom of the deck, your Six of Pentacles. You've got a positive partner who's helping you. And maybe this person can help you restore some order with the children or with, this could be for some of you co-workers even. Maybe there's a lot of strife and stress, and this is about you making a choice about what you're going to do. Maybe you're going to cut out that negative business because somebody's nasty at work, verbally speaking, right? Maybe there's a lot of strife and stress and change that's coming on, and you're making that decision about what your action steps are going to be. Just be sure that you maintain your your connection with your space and your meditation piece, and recognize what it is that serves your best interest. And then also, sometimes we are required to have the patience to wait for divine timing, and that can be extremely frustrating, especially when we're in such a toxic environment. But it's not your job to apologize. Remember that we teach others how to treat us, and so if we are not being extra careful, we can have people ride roughshod over us. People battle with us about everything, even what kind of breakfast cereal to buy. Or, co-workers engaged in gossip and nastiness around the water cooler, talking crap about you behind your back and acting like they're your best friend to your face, whatever that is. And there can be some of this sense of keeping, of a stillness and feeling like we're kind of left out in the cold. But all of this has to do with our mental picture that we paint for ourselves. We can paint ourselves into that imprisonment philosophy or mindset, but it doesn't have to be that case. We do not have to hang out with lower vibrational energies and people that want to keep us stuck in our pain. And sometimes when people are in their own pain, they would rather call you names and be nasty to you than help you through anything or just be an honest and genuine person. So there's that. And that's how they distract themselves from their own pain or from having to make any choices. It's a very human thing that sometimes we do. But don't get sucked up into the petty dramas. Focus on what's exciting you right now. And this new start in your business, this choice that you've been brewing about and you've been thinking and you're making, this is going to be very, very exciting for you. It may mean, though, cutting out some people that are toxic to you, even if they are related to you. You may have to set that boundary, draw that line. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're doing the best you can, and nobody has a right to deplete you. Okay. With that in mind, let me go ahead and shuffle our Animal Wise Tarot by Ted Andrews and see if there's possibly some wisdom, some guidance, some direction that he can provide for the sign of Sagittarius for August the 15th through the 31st, 2018. Okay. All right, so we have the Two of Four-Leggeds, and in this deck, the Four-Leggeds is a sign of Earth. So let me just open this up real quickly, and we'll get to it. It is a little bit long, I will warn you, but definitely these interpretations for these cards are just so right on. I've had many a successful reading using this deck in the past. Two of Four-Leggeds is the porcupine, and the keynotes here are balancing work and play. I hope that's not blurry or glared. The porcupine is a member of the rodent family, and although sometimes referred to as a hedgehog, it is not related. I've never met anyone who, when seeing a porcupine, hasn't been filled with a sense of wonder. I have a feeling where this is going to go. Although they look clumsy on the ground, porcupines are swift and agile climbers with a unique ability to determine the strength of limbs and whether they will provide support. When climbing out on tree limbs, they have a tremendous sense of balance that wouldn't seem possible. A porcupine has approximately 30,000 quills over its entire body, except on its face and the underside of its belly and tail. They are able to control the muscles from which the quills protrude, and thus porcupines can make them stand straight up when they are disturbed or threatened. Porcupines have an innate curiosity with a good-natured disposition as it goes about its day, finding enjoyment in all that it does. Whether playing, seeking out food, or even sleeping, they always seem to find time for it all, and they can teach us how to balance work and play. When they appear, they remind us to have some fun and to explore what we're curious about. Porcupines can also show us how to resist the barbs of others and how to enjoy a sense of wonder in life despite the work and difficulties we may encounter. They show us how to keep the inner child strong by balancing work and play while still being able to achieve. When porcupine appears, our balance will be greater than anticipated, with the ability to juggle more than we thought possible, at least for a short time. Now is the time to focus upon harmony and the maintaining of a good attitude amidst disturbances around us. By doing so, achievement will be ours. So some questions to ask Are we allowing the opinions of others to dissuade us from exploring what we might find enjoyable? Are we taking time for recreation? Are we balancing work and play? Are we eating properly? Are we oversensitive to the barbs of others? Are we inflicting our own barbs inappropriately? Are we allowing past barbs to prevent our to prevent our experiencing joy in the present? So again, we're reminded here of this idea of how we perceive our experience, how much importance we give to that experience has to do with our overall satisfaction or lack of satisfaction in our day-to-day goings on. Now, this porcupine sets boundaries, and just like we're reminded with this Nine of Wands, we have the right and we must sometimes set the boundaries, put it down, say no. And although that's not the fun part of having to deal with individuals who may be trying to take power, trying to step into their own power by diminishing ours, we do have to acknowledge that sometimes we do have to pick up that battle stick. Sometimes we have to put our quills up and set that limit. With that in mind, I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope that whatever your issue is that you may be dealing with, that you find a healthy and peaceful resolution that you can live with, and that will be of benefit to you. And thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. If you feel inspired to, please like, comment, share, or subscribe on my channel. And until September 1, I am sincerely yours, Valerie, with Serenity Matters 1111. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I love you. Bye.